limiting factor to most of the young people. You see, when you look at employment, we the employers, we usually pay a salary that is limited just to survival. When you look at all your salaries, even you the media people, you'll find that in most cases, your salary is within the limits of your expenses. Salary is always equal to expense. Even if I decided to promote you to a manager and increase your salary maybe from 1 million to 2 million, you'll find that I would expect you to live up to the standard of your status. If you didn't have a car, you'll have to buy a car. If you used to live in a neighborhood, the poor neighborhood, you'll have to move to a better neighborhood. So at the end of the day, you are simply surviving. I look at employment as something that should be temporary, for a given period of time, only to accumulate enough income to move into a private business. And when you look at day-to-day prevailing circumstances, you find that circumstances change and prices of all day-to-day things we use go up. But your salaries don't move up in accordance with your salaries, your salaries. So at the end of the day, you are simply surviving. A person should have a plan and a projection to move out of employment. And when you stay so long in employment, you get this dependency syndrome, whereby your job becomes your father and your mother. Without it, you can't survive. Yet at a given point in time, I would believe that anyone past the age of 35, employment should be from approximately 25 to at least a maximum of 35. By the age of 35, someone must have started his own private business towards success, not merely survival. In life, we desire to live, not survive. You can comfortably feed on beans and you won't die, but it wouldn't hurt to feed on meat too. So we desire to live, not to simply survive. That's the difference. And maybe if we promote individual development in the long run, as an end result, our country will develop too, because people will have changed their mindset. Another point I talked about in this book briefly was education. When you look at education systems of most societies, I divided it into two. That is the formal education and informal education. Formal education is education got from systems. Like you see curriculums, like you see courses and all that. The essence of an education system is to prepare the students for challenges in the world. But the reality is, God created man self-contained. The strongest weapon against any challenge in life is one's reasoning capacity, and that is attached to nature in most cases. When you look at our education systems, in most cases they are theoretical. And these need to be updated from time to time due to changing prevailing circumstances. Because if you're giving someone an outdated education system, then he won't be ready to face the current challenges today. So an education system should always be updated from time to time. Otherwise, bringing out a person being qualified from an outdated education system is simply like sending soldiers to a war with guns but without bullets. So, yet education, if properly managed, it can be a very fundamental factor in development of a nation like Uganda. I also happen to have talked about one of our biggest problems we're having in Uganda today. That is the difference between dealers and we businessmen. The difference is that we businessmen, we do what we call genuine business the way we do it. Dealers, we are formal and informal dealers. Formal dealers are more like insurance brokers, real estate brokers, and forex, stock exchange brokers. The informal dealers, you will find that these are the ones that survive financially by outsmarting others. Actually, they are financial criminals. In most cases, they present a business proposal that looks so promising from the surface, but deep inside, when it's a scam and a con, before you realize that it was actually a con, they've already run off your money. And at times they are too good that you may not even stand to have enough evidence to put a claim in court. This syndrome of dealers has really deteriorated the character and minds of our young generation. We have all these young people in school thinking about fast money. Money is supposed to be a gradual system, one step at a time. I've told you I've been working for the last 15 years. But dealers believe in fast money, deal money. And you see, once they get this deal money, they spend it recklessly, trying to prove or to fit within lives of the rich. A rich person doesn't have to prove himself rich, because rich is what he is. A dealer has to spend extravagantly on all issues, throw around money for him to show the public that sincerely is well off. And on the other issue too, at the same time, he has to spend extravagantly, so that this is one of the mechanisms they use to attract other people with money, so that they can take money from them. I've seen what is happening to foreign dealers in most cases. Once the money is finally out, it is very discomforting and very sad. These boys end up with boys and girls end up with completely nothing. They end up struggling. You know, it is like, it is like trying, I once said, it is like getting power from a transformer and trying to bring it a 3-phase voltage. You try to bring it into the house using these 2mm wires. Definitely it will burn. You have to look for wire that has that ability to hold that current. In most cases, money in large volumes with inability to manage it is poisonous to the young minds. That is why they end up completely burnt out. And it is very unfortunate that in most cases, once this money is used up, they would be called friends, all start making fun of them. And in most cases, they even have to move out of their societies and wander out there, because they can no longer survive within the society. What happens to foreign dealers is, so I encourage all our young generation, please stop thinking about fast money. Life is a gradual process. Simply like once a child is born, it will grow, it will walk, and finally run. If you try to run before crawling, you are bound to fall. So I encourage all the young generation, sincerely, stop believing in deal money and fast money. That is one of the reasons I've written this book. I also tried, I tried briefly to give a difference between the rich and the poor, what is being rich, what is being poor, what is being wealthy. I can comfortably tell you that at this particular moment I'm a rich man, but I'm working towards becoming a wealthy man. A rich person is one with a lot of valuable possessions and assets, just like I do. But we equally have a lot of liabilities. A wealthy person is a person who has got a lot, all that I have, but with no liability at all. If a rich person can remove liabilities from his assets, then he becomes a wealthy person. Riches can be measured from the amount of assets you own. Wealth is measured from time. How long can you survive without working? That's the difference. Rich people create jobs, wealthy people create systems. Wealthy people deposit money in banks as fixed deposits for the rich to borrow and start businesses. Actually, to some extent, the rich work for the wealthy. Just like on the other